So, oh, that would help. Okay, 11.6, the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, the Pythagorean Theorem is used when dealing with a right triangle. Taylor, you're supposed to be taking notes.
Yeah, I know what I'm trying to.
And what is a right triangle? Raise your hand. Taylor.
Triangle where one of its angles is 90 degrees.
Very good. It's a triangle that has a 90-degree angle. And it looks something like that. Has a 90-degree angle. A theorem. And you'll be learning a lot of this next year in geometry. It is a statement that has been proved to be always true in regards to math. Theorem is a statement that has been proved to be always true in regards to math. Let y'all catch up. Who can remember the formula for the Pythagorean theorem? Gabby? Very good. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Only when right triangle. Only when it's a right triangle. Basically, the Pythagorean theorem, let me explain. What it is it's used, this formula is used to find different lengths of sides of a right triangle. If you're given two lengths, any two lengths of any two sides of a right triangle, you can use this formula to find the third. Again, this is at the end of your textbook, so you do need to know it. However, it's at the end of the textbook because you're going into geometry next year. And so you're going to really need to know this. This is kind of going into that. So the Pythagorean theorem, this formula is used to find the lengths of missing sides of a right triangle. Only a right triangle. Not any triangle, but a right triangle. Okay, so side C. Anyone remember what it's called always? Taylor? Hypotenuse. It's the longest side of a right triangle. Okay, C is always the hypotenuse, and it's the longest side of a right triangle. A and B are the legs. And A is typically the shortest, but it doesn't really matter, okay? Because you're going to get the same answer either way if you flip the two legs, okay? So A and B, those are your legs. A is typically shortest leg. Hopefully y'all remember this from last year.
So it tends to go from order of size.
Yeah. Okay, so for example, so there's my right triangle. The longest side, which is usually opposite the right angle, is going to be your hypotenuse. Bless you. Hypotenuse. So then we could call this A and this one B. So the hypotenuse is always going to be your longest side. It's opposite the 90-degree angle. A is typically going to be your shortest side. And then you just got boring little B. The formula is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So Cecilia, what do I put right here in place of the A squared? 10 squared. Emily, what do I put right here in place of the B squared?
20 squared.
That's right, 20 squared equals C squared. So right now we got the measurements for the these two sides, the two legs, but to look for the measurement of the hypotenuse, again, we'd use the formula, set it up just like this. Makes sense, right? 7th grade did 3 examples total, not even from their book. Ran with it today. Y'all did too last year. All right, so 10 squared is? Anyone? 20 squared?
400.
What's 100 plus 400?
500.
Now, what do we do if we have a variable that's squared and we need to get it unsquared? Gabby? Just it?
And
Both sides. We're going to put both sides under the radical sign. Because we got to get rid of that. Now see, last year, this is about where y'all would have stopped. Algebra 1, you know that ain't going to happen. So once you get to this point, you're just plugging in your information. You get to here, we got to take it out of the square, so we square root basically both sides. So then this becomes C, but what do we have to do with this 500, Michael? Okay, is this a perfect square, first of all? No, these are perfect squares, but 500 is not a perfect square. So then what do we have to do? Factor tree, we got to simplify it. So Michael, what two numbers give me 500?
250 times 2.
What two numbers give me 250?
25 times. I mean, no, 25
Yeah, times
times
Times what?
10. No. That would be.
That's what you said.
That would be
10. No,
2,500.
he said 25 times 10, and then he second guessed himself, and I was like, yeah.
No, that's 2,500. Right?
I don't know.
I'm
25
so
times
confused.
25 times 10 is
I'm-
250.
I'm blanking. Okay, yes.
So what is it?
25 times 10.
Is he correct?
Yes.
Thank
Said it
you,
first.
Michaela.
I am
He said it
just
first,
dying.
I promise.
I know, but he second guessed himself.
I think the Livingstone exam messed with his head.
No. I'm
So
just-
5 times 2, and then 5 times 5. Okay, so we write those out. 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 5. What do I circle, Michael?
The pairs of 2.
And
2 5s.
and I have that left over. So what does my answer look like?
Do you want me to just
Yeah.
Okay, 10
Times the square root of.
root of 5.
Very good. Michaela's over here backing you up. All right. Does everyone understand? So the Pythagorean theorem is actually quite easy because this never changes. You plug in what they give you. I always tell my students, draw a picture if you need to. You do the work, and then you get to this point. You've got to take it out of a square, so you square root both sides. This becomes c, and if this is not a perfect square, then you've got to simplify it like we've been doing. And y'all are becoming pros at this simplifying stuff. Any questions? Nope. All right, here we go. And also, when it comes to the Pythagorean theorem, if they give you C in one of the legs, then you just do intruder alert, which I think you guys understand. All right, distance formula. You've heard of this before?
Dealing with Cartesian planes. Is that
No.
have we used it before?
I believe so. I can't remember. But I know you heard it last year. Finding the distance between any 2 points. So yeah, I think that's when we did it with the Cartesian plane. Here's the formula. D equals x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, all under the radical.
I remember this.
Good. There's others in here saying, I don't remember yesterday, much less this. So that's the formula. X squared minus x1, not x squared, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, all under the radical sign. I do give formula sheets for the test, okay?
For 6 weeks.
Don't I always, Taylor,
Not 6 weeks. That's next week.
don't I always give formula sheets? No, always. Okay. All you need to do, all you need to know is that this is for distance and how to solve it. How to plug stuff in. So example, given 2, 1 and 0.51, find distance. So if you're given 0.21 and 5,1, they want you to find the distance. So yeah, this section, there's a lot going on. You've got the distance formula. I'm going to teach you the midpoint formula and the Pythagorean theorem all in one section. It's a lot.
You say 0.5,
Point, this is a 0.51.
Oh.
Okay, so we can go ahead and say this is your x1, y1, x2, and y2. It's always useful to do that. Less stress on the brain. So we're going to use our formula here. Distance. I'm not going to rewrite it because it's right above there. x2, so 5 minus 2x1 squared plus y squared is 1 minus 1 squared, all under the radical sign. I'm going to pause there. Does everyone know where I got those numbers? Emily, do you understand where I got them? Michael? Michaela? Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So then we solve. Emily, what's 5 minus 2? So then we have 3 squared. Plus, Aiden, what's 1 minus 1? 0 squared. All under the radical sign. We know 0 squared is 0, right? So then we have 3 squared. What is 3 squared, Cecilia?
9.
So then we have the square root of 9. And Michaela, what's the square root of 9?
3.
And we have our answer. The distance is 3.
I have a question.
Yes.
We just take 2 and 5.
Squared is already 3.
Yeah.
Squared.
You talking about right here?
No, up there.
Right here?
Yeah, could you just take 2 and 5 since the y is the same? 2
Well,
and
yeah,
5,
but that's not going to work every time.
and then take those, and then take the y, and then take those.
Okay, Aiden?
Can you just skip the part where you turn it into 9 because you already know that it's going to be
Yeah, but I'm showing how this works. It's kind of like, oh, what is it that we've been doing? When you have like a square root on the bottom of a fraction, you should, and you have to multiply the top and the bottom by that same thing. You really, if you understand it, you can skip that. You already know it's not, the square root of 7 times square root of 7. Square root of 49, that equals 7. So if you can get that concept, then yeah, you can just write 7. Okay. All right. Does everyone understand this? That's to find the distance between 2 points. Make sure you have your X's and Y's labeled. Make sure you follow it through step by step. Show all your work, and then you're good. All right, any questions? All right, midpoint. Formula. This stuff, it's a lot, but really, all you're doing is plugging in information. So in midpoint, you're finding the midpoint of a segment between 2 points. Again, all stuff you will definitely be using in geometry. And this formula x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, because we're looking for a midpoint, so here we're looking for distance, like the measurement. For a midpoint, we're looking for the point. So it's going to be done in like an XY type thing.
I remember this one.
Yep. So we have x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2.
Ticket lady is
Well, they're doing some activity in there. So this is to find your x. This is to find your y. So we're going to plug in information, but our end result is going to look like a normal xy point.
You saying it didn't sound like that was
So given, Taylor, -3 and 1, and 5 and 4. Find midpoint. So we just need to make sure we label below. And then we're going to fill in our information. I'm going to start over here because I'm running out of space. So it's just going to be like we did up here. We had a formula, we plugged in the information, and we solved. Here we have a formula, we're going to plug in our information and solve. And again, for distance, we want to find the actual distance. For midpoint, we want to find the point on the plane. So x1 minus 3 plus, this one's plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1, 1 plus 4 divided by 2. Gabby, what's -3 and +5? So we have 2 over 2, comma. Gabby, what's 1 plus 4? So we have 5 over 2. Two divided by 2 is what, Gabby? 1. So our answer is 1, comma, 5 over 2. If you want to, you could do, what could be another way of writing that? Gabby? 1, 2.5. Any questions? So there's your point. This is your x, this is your y. So basically what we're looking for again with the midpoint is x and y. Does anyone have questions? The good thing about this stuff, well, midpoint, there's not even any radical signs or anything. But the good thing about this stuff is all you're doing is plugging in information.
Yeah, it's just kind of simplifying.
Yep, that's it. That's it. And I'm giving you the formula, so you're not even having to memorize that. If they say do a midpoint, then you're like, oh, look, I got to use this formula. They say distance, oh, I got to use this formula.
Are there only 3 formulas?
That's it. All right, any questions before we do a couple of examples? I set you free. Because again, this is only plugging it in. All right, open up your books. 461 examples, and I'm only going to do a couple. All right, I'm going to start with number 5. It says find the length of the unknown side of each triangle. They have, for number 5, they have A. Well, first of all, what's the formula?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
They gave us A squared as 2, right? So it's 2 squared. They did not give us B squared, but they gave us C squared. C squared is 8 squared. Before I move on, does everyone understand where I'm at? Cecilia, do you understand? Okay, so what is 2 squared, Cecilia? Plus B squared equals, what's 8 squared, Michaela?
64.
Good. Okay, so since we're trying to find out what the leg of B is, Emily, do you have any idea what I'm going to do? Go with what you think. How do I find out what B is? Do I need to move something?
You want me to say
There you go.
but you could just
What do I need to
figure
do?
out what time was 6.
Well, wait.
I don't think you can do
You're jumping. What do I need to do with the 4?
subtract.
Yes. That's all I'm asking. Good job. That is all I'm asking. So I'm left with B squared equals 60. Now, what do I need to do to get rid of the B squared, Emily? Huh? What do I need to do to get rid of this to make it just B? I need to do something to both sides. No. Cecilia, can you help her out? Put it under the check mark thingy. So then I have square root of B squared equals square root of 60. You remember that? Okay, now that gives me B. Is the square is 60 a perfect square? No. So, Emily, what do I need to do? That's right. So I'm going to go over here, make a factor tree, and Aiden, what 2 numbers give me 60?
30 times 2.
And then what 2 numbers give me 30, Michael?
15 times 2.
What?
15 times 2.
And then, of course, 5 times 3. So I write all my stuff out. And what is my final answer, Emily?
2 outside and 15.
Perfect. Perfect. Any questions about that? Do we know how to do the Pythagorean Theorem? You just plug in the information, right? And then solve. All right, so then let's do some ugly ones. Let's look at number... No, do I want to do that? No, I don't want to do that. 17. Seventeen says, find the midpoint of the segment. They give you this and this. Okay, who would like to do this one? Cecilia, thank you for volunteering. What is the formula for finding the midpoint? Huh?
X, Y. Yeah, x1 plus x2 divided by 2, or y1 plus y2 divided by 2.
Good job. You had it almost totally memorized. Good job. So I'm going to write my x1 and y1, x2, y2, and I'm going to start plugging it in. So Cecilia, what goes on top?
X, y. I mean 2.
2 plus
6.
over 2, comma,
4. 6.
okay. So what's 6 plus, or 2 plus 6?
8.
8 over 2, comma,
Yes. 10.
over 2. What's 8 divided by 2, Cecilia?
You're going too fast.
I'm sorry.
That's 4 and 5.
See, you do that to me. I wait for you and then you blow past me. All right. Any questions on how to find midpoint? Self-explanatory? Everyone caught up? So you caught up? Michaela, you caught up? All right, let's do another one. 21. This time they're looking for distance. I have 3 and 4 and 0 and 0. Who would like to do this one? Cecilia? Okay. What's the formula for distance?
X2 minus y1, then the 2 at the top.
Squared.
Yeah. Plus y2 minus y1, 2 at the top. And then all under the checky thing.
Very good. All right, so this is my x1, my y1, x2, y2. All right, Celia, tell me what goes in what.
Okay. 0 minus 3
Squared plus
0 minus 4 squared.
all under the radical. Okay, so Cecilia, I'll let you write that down. What is 0 minus 3?
-3.
So negative 3 squared plus negative 4 squared, all under the radical. Cecilia, when you have that written down, tell me what negative 3 squared is.
-9.
Negative 9?
Positive 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus
16.
16. All under the radical sign. Don't take it out yet. So Cecilia, when you're done writing that down, tell me what 9 plus 16 is.
25.
All under the radical. And then when you're ready, tell me what the square root of 25 is.
5.
And there you go. Any questions? Any questions? All right, we're gonna do one more and then I'm setting you free probably. Want to drop down to number 33. It says find the length of the third side of each right triangle in which C is the hypotenuse. So basically, C is always the hypotenuse. So for 33, they have A equals 3 and B equals the square root of 7. See, in Algebra 1, they don't give you normal numbers. Taylor, would you like to do this one?
Sure.
Okay, what's the formula first for Pythagorean Theorem?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Okay, since they gave us A and B, we're looking for what?
C.
Okay, so tell me what to write for A squared.
3 squared plus square root of 7 squared equals C squared. Then that's 9 plus 7.
What is, that would be, oh, I see what you did. Let's, for the sake of notes, that's going to be the square root of 7 times square root of 7. So he kind of jumped ahead. That would be the square root of 49 equals C squared. Do y'all see that?
Yeah.
So then what's the square root of 49?
7.
7. So 9 plus 7 equals C squared. What is 9 plus 7?
16.
16 equals C squared. Emily, what do I need to do to get this out of the square? Put both sides under the thingy. All right, Taylor, back to you. Square root of 16 equals the square root of C squared. What is my answer?
4 equals C.
Very good. Any questions? You're going to have those where one side's going to be some weird square root, but don't let it freak you out. Just work it out.
I like these more than the division.
There you go. Any questions?
Have you replaced the division part of the
No.
question?
Tomorrow there's going to be, or no, on the test there's going to be some of that, so be ready. All right, let's get started. You will do page 461.
Magnus doesn't know
Hold on. You can go. Okay. You're going to do numbers 2 through 8 even. 18 to 26 even, 34 and 35. Honors.
Oh, there's like a door.
18 to, hold on, 34 even, 35, and 36. This is all due Wednesday. Your test is still scheduled for Monday. Get started. That's like 11 problems.